Hi, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good myself. So, before we get started today, I just want to talk a little bit about confidentiality. So, this is a safe space, it's a private setting, so feel free to talk about anything that might come up from time to time. But it is important to know that if you talk about harming yourself or others, as well as any abuse to children, elderly, or someone with a disability, as well as if I were to get subpoenaed to court. Those are cases that I would have to break confidentiality, but in those cases, I would talk to you about it and you would be looped in on the process after that as well. How does that all sound for you?
It sounds perfect. Thank you for explaining that.
Yes, of course. It's also important to note that I am a student, so I'm working very closely with my supervisor. I meet with her week to week just to discuss my progress. So there is a chance that our sessions could come up in conversation, but it's just to make sure that I'm the best counselor possible. But do you have any questions about that?
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you for making me aware of that.
Yeah, yeah, of course. So what brings you in today?
You know, I never thought I would be someone that would need counseling, but recently, within a week, I've lost my dog and I'm not taking it the best.
Okay. Do you mean lost as in your dog passed away or ran away?
Well, I'm not sure what happened, but my morning routine is always, wake up, start brewing coffee, bring Roy, my dog, outside. And one day I did it and I went back inside to finish up my morning routine before work. And when I went out to let him in, he was just gone. And I don't know if the leash just came undone and let him out or what exactly happened. But yeah, I just haven't been able to find him for a week.
It sounds like you're feeling really confused about what happened with your dog.
Yeah, I'm just unsure. I went around posting flyers up with call me if you've seen me and just no luck. I even tried to go into all my neighbors' houses to see if any of them saw him, and nobody saw anything. They said they'd keep their eye out, but
Okay. So there's been no signs of Roy so far within the last week.
no.
I'm sorry to hear that. That sounds like a really sad experience for you.
Yeah, he was my best friend, and I work long hours, so it's kind of hard for me to have friendships. So I definitely valued our time. And now that he's gone, I don't know what to do besides try and find him.
Yeah. It sounds like you look at your dog as the closest person to you in a way.
Yeah, I'm close with my family, but they live across the country, so he's the only one I really have next to me.
So you'd say he's your biggest support right now.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Well, talk to me about the emotions that you've gone through this week.
You know, a lot of sadness, some loneliness, and a little bit of anger.
It's very normal to feel a range of emotions when you lose a pet. You're not sure exactly where they went, what happened. That's very normal. What feeling would you say you've been feeling the most today?
Today it's been sadness. I just miss him. Wish he would come home.
So you're feeling pretty distraught today.
Yeah, it's hard for me to think about other things.
When you've had moments of sadness like this in the past, how have you been able to cope?
You know, last time I was this sad was probably when my girlfriend broke up with me a little bit before I got Roy. And then I started running, and that was very nice. But I started running with Roy once I got him, and I tried to go on a run to clear my mind once he went missing, but it just made me miss him and think about like where he could be.
Yeah. I'm sorry to hear that. It sounds like your dog going missing is bringing up similar abandonment feelings as when you and your girlfriend brought up. Would you say that's true?
Yeah, that's something I was thinking about, like the loneliness I feel when I go to bed at night because, it just feels like there's a hole in my bed next to me where Roy used to sleep. And it reminds me of when my girlfriend left me, that emptiness in the bed.
So, after you and your girlfriend broke up, what did you do to fill that loneliness or to feel better about the loneliness that you were experiencing during that time?
The running and getting a dog.
Running and getting a dog. And you haven't really been able to run since Roy has been gone.
Yeah, it just makes me too sad. If I feel like it does more damage than good now.
It just brings those same feelings back on the day that you noticed that Roy was missing.
Yeah, it's like it's very similar to the bed thing where, I did that activity of Roy every single day, and now that I'm doing it by myself, it's just making me miss him.
That's understandable. With you have a big range of emotions that you've been feeling throughout this past week and a lot of sadness today. With zero being, you feel like you're coping really well with this information and trying to figure out what happened with your dog versus like a 10 feeling like completely overwhelmed with your emotions. Like, where are you at today, would you say, or right now?
I would say I'm at about a 7.
You're a 7 right now. Just feeling really
Yeah.
overwhelmed.
Yeah, very overwhelmed, and I can, get some peace by putting on a movie and getting distracted in the movie. But if there's a dog on screen, I'll instantly start thinking about Roy.
Okay, so if you see a dog, it just reminds you of Roy. Doesn't remind you of the memories.
Yeah, and just how I wish he was on the couch cuddling with me while I was watching the movie.
Hmm. So you said that you've done a little bit of looking, or you've done a lot of looking. So nothing has come up. You've talked to your neighbors and they haven't seen Roy at all.
Yeah, all of them said they haven't seen Roy, except for one who was kind of short and got a little aggressive. He didn't really answer my questions, just got mad at me and slammed the door.
What did you think about that?
I don't know. It kind of felt a little weird because I was just asking him, have you seen my dog? And he goes, "Well, you think I took your dog?" And I'm like, "Well, did you? I didn't think that before, but now I'm a little curious." And I noticed that they had doggy bags by the door and they never owned a dog. So I'm like, now I don't know if I just miss him so much. I'm trying to like create that he's actually across the street, but yeah, I don't know.
It sounds like you're feeling that your neighbor has been acting a little different than usual. Is that true?
To be honest, I couldn't even say that. This neighbor and his family's always been very distant from the rest of the neighborhood, so none of us really know what they're like.
Okay, so you're not sure if this is his normal way of acting or if something's a little off.
Yeah, I've had only one interaction with him in the past, and it was because I found he was stealing my mail.
Hmm.
So I went to confront him about that. And he wasn't really aggressive then. He was just more like, it won't happen again, it won't happen again. So,
Okay, so he felt like he got caught the first time, but then this time he was a little more defensive.
that's how I'm taking it, but I don't really know. I just, yeah, I just miss my dog, and I guess it's wishful thinking he could be across the street, but I don't know.
Is there anything else out of the normal that you've noticed with your neighbor?
Hmm. Yeah, every now and again, I kind of hear something that kind of sounds like a dog barking, but I don't know. Maybe they're just watching TV loud.
Okay. When he did get a little aggressive with you, how did that make you feel?
Was kind of taken back by it. You know, I had stopped at six other houses before his, and everyone else kind of had the same similar responses to each other, where it was, no, I haven't seen your dog. I'm so sorry. He's missing. I'll keep a lookout for him and give you a call if I see anything. And he was the only one that was really different.
Yeah. So if you went to bed tonight and tomorrow was like your perfect scenario of maybe talking to your neighbor, finding your dog, like what would that look like for you?
Can you elaborate a little more on that?
Um, just, if you were to talk to your neighbor again, to try to like get more information or even try to figure out if they did have your dog, how would you go about that?
Um, I don't know. I'm kind of hesitant to go talk to him now because of the way he's acted already. So I guess just keeping an eye for my window.
Okay. You just want to like what what would you like to gather from watching through your window?
If my dog's there or not.
You just want to see if there's any more signs.
Yeah. Because I mean, I've looked everywhere, called into every shelter, and he's nowhere to be found. So I'm like, is he in the house?
Hmm. So, moving forward, how would you like to go about figuring out if your neighbor has the dog?
I guess the proper thing would be call the non-emergency line, but I don't even know if they would check on that because I have nothing but my speculation.
Yeah, I would definitely, that's not a bad idea at all. I would encourage you, try it out if you'd like, if you think that that might be a good next step for you.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
But if you're not ready to do that, obviously, you do not have to do anything you're not ready for.
I'll do anything to get Roy back.
So back to the sadness that you were feeling today and the loneliness that you've been feeling recently. What supports do you have?
You know, I have my family, like I said earlier, but unfortunately, they're far. So really don't have much in person except for like maybe some work friends.
Okay. How often do you get to see your family?
Mainly holidays.
Mainly holidays. Do you get to hang out with your work friends outside of work, or is it mainly at work?
Every now and again we will, but we work very long hours, so most of the time we just want to go home, eat, go to bed.
Are supports something that are important for you to have?
I would say in my past, yeah, but it's been a while since I've been able to have that besides Roy, so I don't know.
Your main focus right now is getting Roy back.
Yeah, he is my support.
Yeah. I can definitely see you have a lot of care and love for Roy.
Yeah, you know, he was like my best friend. Every time I'd come home from work, he was always smiling, wagging his tail. It made me feel, loved.
That's great to hear.
Sorry about that.
So I just want to make sure I gathered all of the right information from today. So we talked a lot about how Roy went missing and how you have a feeling that your neighbor may or may not have an involvement in Roy's disappearance. And he disappeared about a week ago. And we also talked a little bit about the feelings from your girlfriend and you breaking up to Roy going missing and how those feelings link a lot. And it's bringing up some loneliness feelings for you, but your main focus right now is to get Roy back. Does that sound correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, how are you feeling now that this session is about to come to a close?
You know, it was nice to just to even talk about everything. It feels like I kind of have a load off, you know, and I'm not going through it alone. So it was very nice.
Okay. So would you say that you're feeling a little bit of a relief after talking about it?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I feel better.
That's great to hear. I'm glad to hear that. So, you know, keep it easy this week and be sure to update me next week with what's happening with your neighbor, what's happening with Roy, and just how you're doing in general.
I will. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.